Hi everyone, I posted this article on my website called What's Going On with Rand Paul and the Ron Paul Campaign. Rand Paul's decision to endorse Mitt Romney as a Republican candidate for president is causing a firestorm of outrage amongst Ron Paul's supporters, who are accusing the Kentucky senator of selling out to the political establishment. During an appearance on Sean Hannity's Fox News show last night, Rand Paul threw his weight behind the former Massachusetts governor. My first choice had always been my father. I campaigned for him when I was 11 years old. He's still my first pick, Paul told Hannity. But now that nominating process is over, tonight I'm happy to announce that I'm going to be supporting Mitt Romney. The Romney campaign quickly shot back with an official press release welcoming the endorsement. And you can read that part here. When asked about signs that Rand Paul was moving closer to Romney, excuse me folks, to Romney after a series of low-key meetings with the former governor of Massachusetts, Alex Jones pointed out that Paul would be far wiser to wait 4 years before trying to have an impact on the presidential election. I think Rand will destroy himself if he does that, said Jones, adding, I would advise Rand Paul to refuse it if he is offered the VP slot by the Romney campaign. The reaction to Rand Paul's endorsement of Romney on pro-Ron Paul websites has been nothing short of salvage. Listed below are just a handful of thousands of comments attacking Rand for his apparent decision to jump in bed with the Republican establishment. Quote, not another penny for Rand, that idiot. He got himself infected by the Washington shifting, turning, spinning, compromising, eye-shutting Washington bug. I'm not going to read all the comments here, but some of them were pretty mean. However, there's still a minority who believe Paul is cleverly trying to cozy up to Romney so he can inject constitutionalist ideas into the presidential runoff and potentially secure a VP slot. As we have documented, Mitt Romney is a wolf in sheep's clothing. His alleged attendance at the 2012 Bilderberg Group meeting only confirms the fact that he is another puppet for the elite. Romney has firmly indicated that he will continue to focus the war on terror domestically against U.S. citizens by backing the NDAA and its provision that allows Americans to be kidnapped and held indefinitely without a trial. Ignoring the rhetoric, Romney's political history clearly illustrates how he is barely any different from Barack Obama. As we have documented, Romney laid down the template for Obamacare, has supported the call for carbon taxes, has proven himself to be an anti-Second Amendment, as well as failing to oppose illegal immigration and abortion. If anything, Romney is more dangerous than the second Obama term because he would put conservatives to sleep while continuing the same policies. Romney and Obama are also bankrolled by the same financial interests, namely Goldman Sachs, Credit Suisse Group, Morgan Stanley, Bank of America, J.P. Morgan Chase, UBS, Citigroup, Wells Fargo, and Barclays. The only saving grace of Rand Paul being offered the VP slot is that he cannot be any worse than the likes of Marco Rubio, a committed neocon who has been aggressively calling for the U.S. to commit to more unaffordable, I'm not sure what that says there, on Syria and Iran. However, the general mood amongst politics is not accommodating of the notion that Rand is just playing politics. To gain more influence, the majority clearly view his endorsement of Romney as an act of betrayal and a sign that the Kentucky senator has become a part of the establishment he is so aggressively campaigned against during his Tea Party triumph in 2010. Now here's an article called The Trouble with Rand Paul. Perhaps that's Rand's idea of playing politics? Come to the table, strike a deal, get what you can. Trouble is, it's tough striking a good deal when the guy on the other side of the table believes that the government should be allowed to claim, without having to produce any evidence whatsoever, that certain people are terrorists and therefore should be detained indefinitely without any kind of due process. That's textbook tyranny. Except if the government had any evidence they were really members of Al-Qaeda and engaged in the war against America, they could be charged with offenses under current laws and tried in front of a jury of their peers. As was proven when Judge Catherine Forrest struck down the indefinite detention provision of the NDAA as unconstitutional. The real detention targets are people like the ones who brought the case, writers, investigative journalists, and whistleblowers, people like Chris Hedges, Noam Chomsky, Daniel Ellsberg, Jennifer Bolin, and Birgitta John's daughter. Rand Paul might have done some good work trying to filibuster the Patriot Act, but endorsing Mitt Romney goes beyond the pale. The NDAA is Romney's most egregious transgression against liberty, but not far behind are his desire to start a war against Iran, to increase military spending, to start a trade war with China, and his belief that corporations are people. I know I will never agree with any politician on every single dimension of every single issue, and that to some extent politics will always involve compromise. Certainly, I disagree with Ron Paul on some issues, but Mitt Romney's stances on these issues seem much closer to Barack Obama than they do to Ron Paul. In fact, he might as well have endorsed Obama for president. And the Ron Paul supporters are noticing Rand has probably burnt most bridges to his father's supporters now. Did George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, and James Madison try to compromise with King George? Or when it became obvious that they were facing tyranny, did they stand up for the principles of liberty? I have always been uncomfortable with the children of politicians becoming politicians. Every anointed child feels like a step away from meritocracy. Dynasties are dangerous because the dynasty itself comes to be more important than the qualities of the politicians. Who would Rand Paul be if he wasn't Ron Paul's son? Just another neocon? Neocons often have a few unfashionable libertarian or constitutionalist sympathies. Look at Charles Krauthammer. But unlike Ron Paul, the neocon never has the spine to do much about their libertarian or constitutionalist sympathies. They just ride on the establishment steamroller into foreign occupations, empire building, corporate welfare, and banking bailouts, into Iraq, and soon into Iran. Rand Paul just got on the steamroller. Now here's a couple of videos that you can check out for yourself that I posted. This one was from Matt Larson. Now here's an interview with Rand Paul by Luke Rudkowski. Here's Adam Kokesh talking about the endorsement by Rand Paul. This is former Ron Paul campaign activist Penny Freeman. Alright, an excellent interview. Here's Alex Jones's message to Ron Paul and Rand Paul. Here's another video about Alex Jones. Rand Paul, don't join the dark side. Here's another one. Frustrated Paul supporters sound off on Romney's endorsement by Rand Paul. Here's another one by Adam Kokesh. And this one right here, Gerald Celente. Excellent interview. It's a little bit long, but it's well worth the watch. Now, I'm a big supporter of Gerald Celente. I like some of his work, so I recommend everybody out there check this interview out. Now here's my personal article that I posted. Does Ron Paul have any chance of winning the 2012 election? Yes. Even though his delegate count is very low, and right now the numbers we are given are just false numbers, he will probably not become the Republican Party nominee. Mitt Romney was chosen by the elite to basically continue on with the old financial system, more wars, more tyranny, and more control. Now, of course, you can check out my blog called Mitt Romney Exposed. Last week, we heard a rumor in the Bilderberg meeting that Ron Paul is set to be assassinated by the establishment. Now, I can't say that is true or not, but just a few days later, Rand Paul comes out and endorses Romney. It's just very suspicious to me what's going on here. Now, this is a huge blow to the Ron Paul revolution movement, but it's not the end of this campaign, at least quite yet. My guess is that he will run third party and will be on the ballot in November. The movement is still going to grow every day, and the elite are scared of the people rising around the country. Now, coming soon on June 28th, there's a new documentary called Electable. So here's a worldwide premiere. You can check this out. So it'll be out in a couple weeks. Now here's a video by Review Manify. Alright, I'm subscribed to his channel. He's very excellent on every single issue or everything that comes out in the news. He's awesome. Alright, check him out. Here's a interview with Lou Rockwell. It says Rand Paul and Ron Paul are different. Highly recommend that interview. And here's a video called Ron Paul is becoming something more important than president. So check that out as well. So anyone out there who thinks that, you know, things are getting worse with the Ron Paul movement, no, actually things are just changing. Alright, we're in a huge transition out of the old establishment with the liberty movement continue to grow and grow and grow, and more people are waking up every single day to the issues around them. As more people continue to awaken, they start to see that we're being screwed on so many different levels in this financial system. We're going to find out that, you know, we've been lied to. Of course, many people already know that now, but they're going to continue to find out more and more information. And people like Rand Paul, I mean, still, he's a good guy, alright? His track record shows that he's done excellent. He's not perfect, of course. And there's some things I don't like about Rand Paul, and some things I do like about Rand Paul. Like he fights the TSA. That's excellent. But endorsing Mitt Romney, you know, that's his choice. I would like him to endorse his own dad, but apparently he will not. And some people call him a sellout, all these different names, and I don't think that's the direction we need to take. You know, we need to start supporting one another no matter what. All right, people endorse people that maybe are doing really bad things, like myself. I used to be a Barack Obama supporter back in 2008. You know, I wasn't really a full Ron Paul supporter. I knew about Ron Paul in 2008, and I was leaning on the fence of either Barack Obama or Ron Paul at the time. I should have chose Ron Paul, but I screwed up. I chose Obama. So we all make mistakes, folks, and yes, we need to correct those mistakes as we go on, but we cannot send the hate to Rand Paul just because he endorses a Bilderberg puppet, a banker's puppet, basically, by Goldman Sachs, you know, financing his whole entire campaign. So check out the article for yourself, folks. Everybody out there, have a great weekend, and just stay calm. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep educating yourself. Keep sharing these articles. Keep sharing the videos. Do what you can to keep the Ron Paul revolution alive and well. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.